It's late. Way later than you plan to be awake. Your phone is glowing in the dark, screen inches from your face, thumb scrolling without direction. You tell yourself you're just killing time, but that's not the truth, is it? You're searching for something real, for reassurance, for proof that what you're feeling isn't just exhaustion or imagination, proof that you're not losing yourself. You're looking for confirmation that the heaviness in your chest means something. And here's the thing no one told you. You're not imagining it. There's a reason certain nights feel heavier. There's a reason your mind wakes up when the world goes quiet. There's a reason you feel watched over and hunted at the same time. Something has been happening around you, quietly, deliberately, out of sight, while you've been convincing yourself that you're alone, that nobody notices your struggle, that your pain is invisible. Someone has been moving. Someone you don't see. Someone you don't hear. Someone who doesn't announce themselves. And no, this isn't fantasy. This isn't delusion. This isn't comfort talk. This is about protection. Real protection doesn't show up loudly. It doesn't make speeches. It doesn't demand recognition. It operates in silence. It moves before danger fully forms. It dismantles threats before they ever reach you. You thought you were fighting everything by yourself. You thought nobody had your back. You thought the attack stopped because people got bored or because time passed. That wasn't it. There's been someone working behind the scenes handling situations you never even knew existed. Problems that never made it to your doorstep because they were dealt with early. Intentions that never reached action because they were intercepted. You didn't notice because that's how it's supposed to work. Think about it. Really think. Remember the person who was suddenly quieter? The one who used to watch you closely, speak about you often, poke at your life like they were waiting for a weak spot. One day they just stopped. No closure, no explanation. They simply vanished from your radar. You called it coincidence. It wasn't. Remember how certain plans against you never fully came together? How situations that felt dangerous dissolved at the last moment? How someone who meant harm suddenly had their own chaos to deal with? That wasn't luck either. Protection doesn't always look like rescue. Sometimes it looks like prevention. Sometimes it looks like someone else's life falling apart so yours doesn't. And before you question yourself, before you tell yourself, this sounds extreme, ask your body. Ask your intuition. You felt it. That shift in the air when pressure suddenly lifted. That strange calm after weeks of tension. That moment when something bad was supposed to happen and didn't. Something intervened. You've been too busy surviving to notice. Too busy healing. Too busy learning how to breathe again. While you were focused on staying upright, someone else was clearing the road ahead of you, removing obstacles you'll never know about. That's the part that messes with people, because real guardianship doesn't ask permission. It doesn't wait for gratitude. It doesn't send updates. It simply acts. The people who tried to undermine you didn't just fail. Their confidence cracked. Their plans unraveled. Their peace disappeared. Their nights got longer. Their thoughts got louder. And they don't understand why. They feel watched, pressured, unsettled. Like something shifted and they can't put their finger on it. Like the moment they focused on you, their own life started slipping. You didn't do that. You didn't need to. You were protected. And whoever is doing this isn't driven by ego or control. They aren't stepping in because they think you're weak. They're stepping in because they see where you're headed. They see the future version of you, the one you're still growing into, and they refuse to let small, malicious people interfere with that trajectory. You're becoming something, and that makes certain forces nervous. So, while you've been wondering why you're still standing after everything you've been through, why you didn't collapse the way logic says you should, the answer isn't just strength, it's backup. Quiet, relentless, unseen. You've never been as alone as you thought, and this is only the beginning. There's something unsettling about realizing the attacks didn't stop because you got stronger, but because someone stepped in. Once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Patterns start lining up. Timelines start making sense. You look back and realize how often chaos aimed at you somehow redirected itself. How often the people who tried to destabilize your life ended up destabilized themselves. And how you kept moving forward while they stayed stuck, confused, unraveling. You thought it was karma doing its slow, neutral work. But karma is patient. This wasn't patient. This was immediate, precise, personal. Every time someone plotted against you, something strange happened. They lost momentum. They lost clarity. They lost control. Their words started betraying them. Their lies tangled. Their confidence evaporated. It's like they walked into a fog they couldn't escape. And the wild part? You weren't even thinking about them. You were too focused on holding yourself together, on repairing damage you never deserved, on learning how to trust your own voice again. While you were rebuilding, someone else was dismantling anything that threatened that progress. This kind of protection doesn't come from pity, it comes from recognition. Someone sees your potential more clearly than you do right now. They see the version of you that exists beyond survival, and they understand that certain people cannot be allowed near that future, not even briefly. So they intervene, not with confrontation, not with drama, not with warnings. Those are inefficient. They work quietly, strategically, invisibly. A conversation happens you'll never hear about. A truth surfaces at exactly the wrong time for the wrong person. A door closes that someone was depending on. Support disappears. Allies vanish. Plans collapse under their own weight. From the outside, it looks like coincidence. From the inside, it feels like pressure, like the ground turning unstable, like reality pushing back. The people who tried to hurt you start questioning themselves. Their sleep gets worse. Their thoughts get darker. They feel exposed without knowing why. They sense consequences before they see them. That's what real defense looks like. It doesn't shield you from growth. It shields your growth from interference. And this isn't about revenge. That's the mistake people make when they try to explain it. Revenge is emotional, messy, reactive. This is protective instinct. Someone decided that your suffering had reached its limit, that you'd paid enough, that anyone adding weight to your burden would have to carry their own instead. And here's the part that hits hardest. They never told you. They never hinted. They never stepped forward to claim credit. Because if they did, it wouldn't be pure. This isn't about ownership or control. It's about preservation. You are meant to fight everything. You are meant to become something. And becoming requires space, silence, safety. So that space was created for you. Look at how many threats dissolved before they reached you. How many situations resolved themselves without you lifting a finger. How many people quietly removed themselves from your life after trying to destabilize it. You didn't chase them away. They were handled. And while you were doubting yourself, wondering if you were too sensitive, too broken, too slow, someone else was making sure nothing finished the job pain started. You're not being coddled. You're being guarded. There's a difference. And once you feel that difference, once it clicks, something shifts in you. You stop panicking as much. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending your existence. You start moving like someone who knows they're not alone anymore. Because you aren't. At some point, the protection stops feeling external and starts changing you internally. That's when things really shift. You notice you're calmer in situations that used to shake you, less reactive, less desperate to be understood. You don't chase explanations anymore. You don't argue your truth into rooms that were never built to hold it. Not because you gave up, because you don't need to. There's a quiet confidence settling into your body now, and it didn't come from winning arguments or proving people wrong. It came from watching threats dissolve without your involvement, from realizing you don't have to monitor every angle anymore, from sensing that not everything is yours to fight. And that's dangerous in the best way. The people who once relied on provoking you don't know what to do now. Your silence isn't confusion. Your calm isn't fear. It's alignment. And alignment is unreadable to people who survive by pulling reactions out of others. They try old tactics: guilt, concern, fake apologies, just checking in, indirect questions, fishing for access. Nothing lands, not because you're cold, but because the door they used to enter through doesn't exist anymore. Behind the scenes, the same force that shielded you is still working, but now it's more selective, more surgical, It doesn't just neutralize enemies. It removes entire environments that would have required you to shrink. You don't just escape harm anymore. You outgrow it. And that's when people start feeling exposed around you. They can't read you. They don't know where they stand. They can't tell if they matter, if they're trusted, if they're tolerated. That uncertainty eats at them. Because you're no longer broadcasting emotional data they can use. You're not leaking intention. You're not over-explaining. You're not trying to be palatable. You're moving with quiet authority. And here's the part most people don't understand. This didn't make you harder, it made you cleaner. Cleaner boundaries, cleaner energy, cleaner connections. The protection around you isn't about punishment. It's about efficiency, about removing anything that distorts your direction. So when people fall away now, it's not dramatic. It's not explosive. It's subtle. Conversations fade, paths diverge, opportunities stop aligning. They don't always know why they can't reach you anymore. They just know something changed. And while they're trying to diagnose it, you're already elsewhere, focused, grounded, unbothered. That's the difference between surviving and being supported. You're not being carried. You're being cleared. There's also something else happening that no one talks about. The more you're protected, the more responsibility you carry. Because once you realize you're defended, you can't keep moving like someone who expects betrayal at every turn. You stop flinching. You stop bracing for impact. You stop assuming the worst. You begin to trust your forward motion. And that trust is magnetic. Doors open faster now. People respond differently. Resistance thins out before it reaches you. Not because the world got nicer, but because your frequency stopped inviting unnecessary conflict. That's how you know this protection isn't fragile. It adapts. It grows with you. The same force that once blocked attacks now creates space for expansion. It doesn't just keep danger away, it makes room for growth that would have been impossible before. And the people who once underestimated you feel it the most. They watch you move without anxiety, without urgency, without needing their validation. And it unsettles them because they remember the version of you that doubted, that explained, that waited. That version is gone, not lost. Integrated, you didn't harden into someone bitter. You softened into someone untouchable. And behind that softness is structure, support, something solid enough that you don't need to announce it. You don't threaten, you don't warn, you don't prove. You proceed. That's why attempts to undermine you feel weaker now, sloppier, desperate, like shadows swinging at someone already out of reach. They're not fighting you anymore. They're fighting the realization that they never had the access they thought they did. And that realization hits harder than any confrontation ever could. Eventually, you stop trying to explain what changed. You just live it. Because the final stage of protection isn't about shields or guardians or unseen hands anymore. It's about embodiment, about becoming so grounded in who you are that chaos can't find a grip. You don't walk around expecting trouble. You don't scan rooms for threats. You don't replay old wounds looking for patterns. You're present. And presence is the most underestimated power there is. People sense it immediately. Not in a mystical way, in a human way. You listen without flinching. You speak without rushing. You leave conversations without dragging energy behind you. That's when it clicks. The protection was never meant to stay external forever. It was training. All those moments when things handled themselves, when conflicts dissolved before reaching you, when people who meant harm simply faded out, those weren't about control. They were about giving you space to grow into someone who no longer needs defense at the same level. Because now, your discernment does the work. You see misalignment early. You feel when something's off before it turns sharp. You choose distance without guilt. You choose peace without apology. And the wild part? Nothing dramatic needs to happen anymore. No big confrontations. No collapses. No revenge arcs. Just clean exits and quiet endings. That's how you know you've crossed the threshold. The people who once tried to dominate your narrative no longer have a role in it. Not because they were defeated, but because they're irrelevant. And irrelevance is permanent. Your life starts moving with less friction now. Not because you're forcing outcomes, but because you're cooperating with yourself. You trust your timing. You respect your energy. You don't override your instincts for approval. That's the real protection, self-trust that's been tested and proven. You've seen what happens when you ignore it, and you've seen how smoothly things flow when you don't. So now you move differently. You choose quality over intensity, alignment over urgency, depth over noise, and the universe life. People, circumstances responds in kind. Not because you're special, because you're clear. Clear people are hard to manipulate, hard to distract, hard to derail. That's why the drama falls away. That's why the chaos can't keep up. That's why what once felt like danger now feels like information. You don't panic when something ends. You don't cling when someone leaves. You don't chase when energy pulls back. You let things reveal themselves. And that's when the last illusion breaks. You realize you were never fragile. You were just open. And now you're open and anchored. So if you ever wonder whether someone is defending your name when you're not around, here's the grounded truth. Your integrity is doing most of the work now. Your consistency speaks for you. Your boundaries filter for you. Your growth corrects misunderstandings you never address. People who know you know. People who don't matter. And that's peace. Not the absence of conflict, but the absence of fear around it. You're not guarded. You're not paranoid. You're not waiting for the next hit. You're moving forward, clean, awake, and intact. And that's the kind of protection no one can take away.